Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're having a look at another leak list for the next major updates, or maybe it won't come in the next major updates, but might come in future updates, as always, and it's a list of vehicles and also weaponry. We'll go through each of them as we go along. As I've said many times, a lot of this stuff can be quite confusing, especially when it comes to these modern vehicles, because there's so many different variants of them, and they all have their little intricacies. I hope you're ready for more F-16s, and also more subvariants of other vehicles as well. As always, if you enjoy this content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. The first vehicle we're going to be looking at is the F-16A Block 15 ADF, ADF standing for Air Defense Fighter. But the story of this vehicle starts with the Block 15, which is of course a subvariant of the F-16 itself. The Block 15 set out in 1981 to basically improve the capabilities of the vehicle in the air-to-ground and also BVR mission mode. They added 2 extra hardpoints on the chin of the vehicle, and what they also had to do while doing that is, of course, add a larger horizontal stabilizer on the tail to make sure that it was basically balanced out because of the shift in center of gravity caused by the weight of the 2 additional pylons. They also improved the AN/APG-66, which is the radar on the vehicle, giving it an early version of the track while scan mode for greater air defense capabilities. And also, what they did is they added an enhancement to the cockpit. They gave the vehicle a better air conditioning unit. Then we move on to the Block 15 OCU. And this actually runs in tandem with the F-16 Block 15 ADF. Yes, this is confusing, but what they wanted to do with the Block 15 F-16 is make it into a vehicle which was good at interception missions. So it would be able to go after bombers if they attack the US, and also after stuff like cruise missiles. So in 1989, the conversion was fully completed of the F-16A ADF, but what they wanted to do is they wanted to use airframes of the OCU variety, which was a further subvariant of the Block 15 itself. The OCU upgraded a bunch of the systems on it, basically OCU standing for Operational Capability Upgrade. It meant that they could carry some anti-shipping missiles, some Norwegian Penguin Mark IIIs, the AGM-65s, of course, and also provisions for the AIM-120 AMRAAM, also a radar altimeter and expanded computer capacity as well. They gave it some new countermeasures on top of it, and also the ANALQ-131 ECM pod as well. So just making it a hell of a lot more beefy compared to what it could have before by what it was carrying. So this vehicle became what is known as the F-16A ADF. So it has a ton of extra capabilities, mainly the one in-game, which will be looked at, which is, of course, the AIM-7, since this thing could carry semi-actives, and, of course, the AIM-120 AMRAAM, which would be kind of nuts right now. The AMX-50 1950 has once again been spotted, so this time it is probably coming. Mainly because of the fact that in the game, they actually changed the name of the standard AMX-50. It is now the TOA 100, so the other one should probably come in as well. The difference between the two vehicles is they have different turret designs in slight different ways, and also the 1950s variant has access to a machine gun, which is quite good, I suppose. Also, the 1950s variant has smoke grenades on the turret, which the TOA 100 doesn't have. Then we also have the F-16A Block 20 MLU. MLU stands for Mid-Life Update. Basically what the Block 20 is it was a F-16A variant to try and give it the F-16C's Block 50's capabilities, so give it a better radar, the AN/APG-66 V3, and to give it access to more weaponry, basically. So the AIM-7M Sparrow missiles, and also the AIM-120 AMRAAM, and also the AGM-84 Harpoon missiles, which are of course the anti-ship ones, as well as the LANTIRN navigation and also targeting pod. This vehicle is interesting because it was used by Taiwan, the Republic of China. They received 150 of these things. So that probably means that this is going to be the Chinese Rank 8 aircraft. The next vehicle is the Type 85-2M, and this is a weird story. It is a Chinese vehicle and has access to some pretty gnarly weaponry, but also it starts off its story in the early 80s. Basically, there was a Type 80 tank. This was a series of prototypes which were built in the early to mid-80s, and whilst the Type 82 with its overcast turret was developed into the Type 88 tank, which we don't actually have in the game yet, there was a third prototype which was known as the Type 83. This was actually built with a welded turret instead of a cast turret. This was quite a large step when it came to the Chinese manufacturing setup, because it meant that they could actually add composite or laminate armor on the turret front instead of just the hull of the vehicle. They then further developed the Type 85-2. Basically, this was Norinco doing it at the time, and they kept the rifled 105mm Type 83 main gun on it, but then they created the Type 85-2M. Now, the difference between them is basically the gun. The 105mm main gun was replaced with a stabilized 125mm smoothbore and also an auto-loader to boot. So a very similar gun to stuff like the T-72 and also the T-64. It was announced in 1992, and it basically kept all of the other stuff with it. It did have a more modern FCS with a laser designator and also some night vision capability, but the engine stayed the same, and everything else on the vehicle stayed the same. So you're basically getting like an early or a late 70s, early 80s design on it, which has access to a pretty rough engine, only 730 horsepower, but a big donkey gun. The last one is probably the most worrying at the end of the day, and it is, of course, the AIM-120A. The AIM-120A is an AMRAAM. There is a series of missiles with this name, and of course it stands for the Advanced Medium Range Air-to-Air Missile. This is still in use today when it comes to the American Air Forces and also many other air forces. This one is specifically the first variant of it though, the AIM-120A, which differs from the ones which are used on this present day. Basically, this is a fire and forget beyond visual range air-to-air missile. It uses active radar homing, usually, when it comes to the missile, depending on which one you're looking at, and it is the next generation above the Sparrow. So right now, we have a bunch of, AIM-7s in the game, but the 120 is a completely different new level. Obviously, when we had a look at the F-16s, they were kind of designed to bring along these things and stuff like AIM-7Ms, and also the J-37D that's in the file was specifically designed to carry the AMRAAM. We'll do a future video on this thing specifically if it is announced to come, but just understand this would be kind of nuts. But then again, the Soviets have got something pretty nuts in the form of the R-27. We'll have to see what goes on. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Forge, Siegebreak, Carrion Crow, Nicholas Richardson, Elove Goat, Pyman, Winter Scientist, Merciless Reaper, Orange Tail, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, and also Sem Arslan, Wilkski, Uncle Bean, Derek R., Bareen, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.